Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking Business and Family. My name's Jeremy Kellett. I'm Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. And on this episode, we are sitting down with another one of our owner-operators, Jeff Nussbaum. And I tell you, before we get to talking to Jeff, Megan's sitting with me in on this one. Hey, Megan, what's happening?
Howdy.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. I was getting afraid I was getting booted, and you just didn't want to hurt my feelings.
Why? Did we miss one?
You've missed a couple of them.
Couple?
See?
Were you here at work?
Yeah. Surely.
Just saying. I don't know. Just kidding.
I hope that you would, if you ever did boot me from the podcast, you wouldn't say anything to save my feelings.
Well, I'll quit watching.
There we go.
Because she's not on there?
That's right.
There we go. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, we're back in now. So we've gotten through that. Megan is with me, and we are running an episode today. So
Dream Team's back again.
Dream Team's back. Got Jeff Nussbaum going to hang out with us a little bit, the number one driver at Oakley.
Oh, good.
Self-proclaimed.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But before we get to that, I want be sure and zoom in on this little addition to our studio right here. This is a truck and trailer. It's like a model truck and trailer. It's probably 12 inches long, something like that. One of our ex-owner operators retired, John Haley. You might know him if you saw him, Jeff. He was from Minnesota. Now he lives in Arizona. I bet you know him because he pulled tank. But anyway, he made this for us, and he called me and said, hey, if I send you a truck and trailer, will you put it up there in the office somewhere? I said, you betcha. John, be glad to. And I want you to look. You should see the details. I don't know where he came up with that. I mean, it's his old truck that he had when he was leased on here. He's got his truck number on there. He's got the Oakley decals on the side of his truck. He said it's even got suspension, so if you push on the top of the truck, it actually goes up and down because he's got suspension. He's got his airlines there. I mean, he's got a trailer. I don't know where he got the Oakley decals. They look just like it. So, I mean, John, we figured this would be the best place to display your present you sent us. We love it. We're going to add it here to the studio, so I don't even know if he watches, but I hope he does. I'm going to send him a message to be sure and watch this next week. So, John, we appreciate you, man. We miss you around here for sure. Before we get started, sponsors.
Aero Truck Sale.
And?
Lube Zone.
Okay, enough of that. Just Oh, they've been great. They know they're great. We'll run their ad in here.
A used semi-truck is a great way to kick off your career as an owner-operator on a budget, and buying from a reputable dealer like Aero Truck Sales ensures you're getting a reliable truck that fits your needs. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Being a longtime partner with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast, we trust them to provide our owner-operators with a truck that fits their needs and matches our qualifications. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a new-to-you rig, be sure to give Keith Wilson and Trey Visor a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
Hey, I want to talk to Jeff for a little while. Jeff, man, I appreciate you sitting down with us because – you know, I think we say this every time. I mean, we love having owner-operators here.
Yeah.
I was telling David Guthrie, a good friend of mine today, he came in and fed us some barbecues with the advertising company, and we were talking about the podcast. And I said, you know, it's to me, I really like interviewing our owner-operators, but I like for people to see that these guys are hard-working Americans trying to make a living just like anybody else. And people that are going down the highway probably don't think that, you know. I mean, and we'll get that from Jeff because I'm sure he can attest to that. But, you know, I think to me, it's we're trying to help that cause, Megan, to where it shines a light on owner-operators, truck drivers in general, that they're good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean.
It's like whenever you're talking to somebody on the phone and then you meet them, a perfect example is working here in the office, and people will come in and they'll be like, oh, it's so nice to finally put a face to the name. or a face to the voice or whatever. It's the same thing with drivers. It's like these are actual people
Yep.
that are behind the wheel,
Yep. And it's
Well, the same kind of works backwards too. When guys get a chance to come to the office, and it is different to come to, our office here, get a chance to meet everybody. Dispatchers, it's not every place you're at where you get that interaction when you get to the office. It's a lot of times just separated out completely.
I didn't think of that point of it because I guess there is a lot of drivers out there that will kind of put that stigma on the company. I don't want to go in the office. I'm going to stay away from them. I don't want to know they're real people trying to make a living and do a job every day. They're company. They're against us. And I can see where some
I actually enjoy that part of it when I make it to Little Rock to come into the office to see my dispatcher face to face, and everybody else I get to say hello to. So I always make sure I pass right through the recruiting section. Always say hello to Corey because he was my recruiter.
Okay.
He's kind of like the go-to guy for me. If I have a question for anything, it's easy. I'll just call Corey. Corey will know who I need to talk to.
Right.
And so that makes it easy.
Right.
A little free press for Corey.
Yeah. Tell us about Jeff Nussbaum. Where you live, family, hobbies.
Well, I'm from South Carolina. I've been married for 30 years. I've got four kids. I've got 1, 2, 3 grandkids. My oldest just got married last weekend, so that was pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
We put a trip into New York City, and we did it all as a family, so that was pretty neat. But I've been trucking for 30 years, on and off, and so far I'm enjoying my adventure here at Oakley.
What do you do in your spare time when you're not trucking?
Well, mostly in the summertime, I enjoy to go ride my side-by-side. We've got a couple of them up in the mountains in West Virginia, and so when I call back to dispatch, I'll say, it's time to head to the mountains again, and he'll get me close to the mountains, which works out great. I don't even go to my house. I think the last time I went home, I was at my house. 2 times before that, I bypassed my house altogether and went straight to the mountains and met all my family up at the mountains. And we'll go up to the Hatfield-McCoy trails in West Virginia
Oh, that's cool.
and go ride side-by-sides.
Where do you stay?
I have a camp set up right up there. I have a piece of property.
Nice.
That's my get away from it all location up there for sure.
Oh, that's good. What kind of side-by-side you got?
Polaris, Razor. We have a couple 2-seat machines, couple 4-seat machines. So I've got one. My wife's got one. My daughter's got one. my oldest boy's got one.
Oh,
And
it's
so
a family affair for
it
sure.
is. Yeah, we have a good time when we go up there.
A lot of people do a lot of that riding. I see that a lot.
It's not a cheap hobby. I can assure you that.
No.
I don't think there are any cheap ones, but that's definitely not one.
How'd you get started in trucking?
Well,
Is it
if
a
we
unique,
rewind
unique
way
story?
back, it all started. Originally, I started as a heavy equipment operator years ago, and I'm originally from upstate New York, and so upstate New York, you cannot go play in the dirt year round, and so in the wintertime, you get laid off. And I found that there were some driving opportunities, so I started to pursue that and got my driver's license, and then it just went full time into driving.
So you were from New York
I am.
originally, upstate New York?
Upstate New York, just outside of Albany.
Okay.
That's where I'm originally from. I moved to the Carolinas about 12, 13 years ago.
Were you in New York until that time?
I was.
Really?
It's beautiful up there, but I'm glad to be living in the Carolinas.
I hear there's a lot of rednecks in upstate New York. I
Come on.
swear. I promise. Like, if in the right part of New York,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's
I'd
how
say-
they just, yeah. Is that true? Can you
People
confirm?
have a misconception about New York a lot. When you say New York, you think city. And that's just a very small piece of the state of New York. If you go upstate New York, there's some beautiful, beautiful country upstate. Lots of apple orchards and it's beautiful in the fall for sure.
We went off, change subject, but my son lives in New York City, and we went up there 2 years ago, and went to Grand Central Station, jumped on a train that took us an hour or so up the river and to a little town that was really neat. You know, you get completely out of the city. It's beautiful. It had a big mountain that you go hiking on. You know, we got lost. We thought we were going to be there for days. We were about to give out. We didn't have any water. It was just it was kind of a disaster. But anyway, it was fun, and that was a neat little. You know, you think you go to New York like you're saying, and I mean, an hour we're out of the city, and up in this nice out in the country.
You're probably up by the ski mountain areas, up in Durham area.
Up on the Hudson.
Yep. So
Yeah.
not too far up there. Oakley's got a customer in East Durham, New York, which is
Okay.
right up in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, I agree with your misconception about New York because I had it until my son moved up there. So now it's not as bad, but anyway. So New York, and what'd you move to South Carolina for?
At that particular time, I was in the environmental business, and my job had me managing oil terminals up and down the East Coast. And so I did a lot of traveling from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
Golly.
and as far over as East St. Louis. And I was just looking for a change. Taxes in New York are ridiculous. And I said to my wife, so we're moving. And she's like, where are we moving to? I'm like, I travel to the Carolinas a lot, and I just like it down there. Still get 4 seasons, and the taxes were 1/6 of what they were when I left New York.
Holy
And that
moly.
was 12, 13 years ago. And so I didn't look back after that. New York can keep their taxes. I'll go visit. And
Yeah.
Is there anything you miss about living up there?
the fall is really nice, especially during apple harvest time. That's always a nice thing up in New York. But
Yeah, we
aside
kind of
from that-
miss out on that down here. It kind of jumps straight from summer. We get maybe a week or a week and a half of fall temps for it.
I got you
for summer.
sidetracked on that. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Get back to driving a truck. So
Yep.
you driving that turned into a full-time gig.
It did. It went full time then.
How old are you at this point? Or what year is this? I guess I
I'm
should
going to say that was probably around 90. I actually had a driver's license coming out of the military,
Oh, you
and-
were in the military?
and they converted. I was in the military. I served in the Marine Corps, and they converted my license to a dump truck license when I came home. And so I did that, and it turned into a Class A license. And then when I got married at 25, I was driving a truck. And I did that for a number of years, and then things changed over the years. I went from driving to dispatching to managing to driving, and it just kind of went full circle. And in the past several years, I ended up back full-time driving again before I came over to Oakley. I don't know, just how it worked. I think it was a good place for me to be at for my age.
What'd your wife think about this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
My driving jobs have changed. I had jobs that were, gone for 2-3 days at a time, come home for 2 or 3. But the full time, yeah, of course you would like me to be home more often. It's a lot easier now. All my kids are grown up. My youngest is in college. So that's helpful. I think if my kids were younger, it probably would not be a job for me.
Yeah.
I probably need to be home a lot more. Maybe an end dump driver, home every weekend.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
How often are you home now?
it varies. I've been on like a 3-week routine lately. Out for 3 and go home for a couple of days. That seems to be working out pretty decent.
And you're a vac tank.
I am.
How you like it?
That's been a pretty fun adventure. I've never done vac tankers before. Years ago, I did some pneumatic work, hauling limestone. I actually did that for my father-in-law, driving an R model Mack from Canaan, Connecticut, down into Port Reading, New Jersey, every single day.
Oh my gosh.
That means run across that George Washington Bridge every day.
I've heard about that and how terrible that is.
Oh my goodness.
How bad is it?
I have not been on that George Washington Bridge in a good number of years, and that was back in the 90s. So when I came to Oakley, I hadn't been up in that area for a long time, and so I started out on the end dump and have a load going to Kearney,
New Jersey.
New Jersey, which is right there, right now. You can look right across the river at New York City, but it's right up there, and I had to drive right past that same exit. And I called my brother-in-law up. I said, hey, exit 12, you know it? He's like, oh, yeah, Port Reading, New Jersey. I said, that's the one. So it is pretty out.
Having flashbacks.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, don't you know, I just kept going up there. I'm like, I moved away from this area thinking I'd never have to drive in the Jersey area again. And here I am.
Now, you talk about your brother-in-law. Is he in trucking, too? You got
He
family
is.
in trucking?
He is, yep. My brother-in-law, he's owner-operator as well. And his brother is company driver. There's a lot of driving in the family. My side of the family stayed in the excavating business.
You the first truck driver out of your family?
My dad was a truck driver on and off when I was growing up. So my dad did some trucking. He had some stories way back when Sears and Roebuck, they used to haul oil back in the day. And I can remember as a kid, he showed me a picture of the truck he drove. It was a single axle tractor that they would pull oil tankers with. And this is up before they put in the major roadways up in the Adirondacks in New York. And they used to truck up that way. And so I can't imagine driving back then.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know how they did it. The trucks have come so far.
And my father-in-law, he was owner-operator his whole entire life, too. So there's
Wow.
a lot of trucking around.
Yeah. So y'all got plenty to talk about around Christmas dinner.
I'm sure your wives love it.
Loves it.
You would think. What kind of truck you own now, Jeff?
I currently drive a 2019 International LT 625. I bought it last year when I came to work here.
You've only been here for a year?
It's been a year.
Wow.
When was the year? August 21st was my 1 year.
Congratulations.
So I am a first-time owner-operator.
Are you, as of last year? I mean, this is the first.
It's the first time I ever owned my own truck.
Wow.
So that in itself is a story.
Well, tell me.
And it's similar to a lot that you've had on your podcast before. But when I was driving chemical tanker, I would stop every Oakley driver I found at the truck stop. And there's a couple of those guys I still talk to, which is pretty neat. But, you know, I talked to one guy on a CB radio when I'm driving down the road, and that really piqued my interest. And then I caught a guy in the truck stop and got more information. And then I just started bombarding his phone. It's like every week or so I'd call him up. It's like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And I did talk to Corey, and Corey had sent me a bunch of great information, which was super helpful being a first-time owner-operator.
Yeah.
Information is key, and I found that this is as transparent as can be for trying to get information. And he had no problem at all. He said, I'll send you, the end-of-the-year statements from some guys, and you can see what they did. I'll send you some weekly settlements, and you can see what comes out. And that was so helpful to make that decision, because it's a hard transition, especially first-time owner.
Yeah.
Financing a loan is a challenge. So you need to make sure that you account for everything, because there is no turning back a lot of times when you make that decision to become an owner-operator.
Yeah.
You put a lot on the line to make that change. And I felt hesitant. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of anxiety going on, but at least I had all the information that I needed in order to make the decision.
You just kept waiting for that something unexpected to pop up that you.
And it did, and it was on your podcast the other day. You catch a guy at a bad time, at just an off day, a bad day, and I can remember I had all the information I needed. I just needed one more reason to make that change, and it happened. I called in my dispatch where I was working at. It's like, well, I got nothing for you tomorrow. I'm like, all right, that's fine. What are we doing the next day? What are we doing Wednesday? Well, actually, I don't have anything for you till next week. And I'm like, well, it's a full-time trucking job. I don't know how that works with not having any work for a whole entire week. And I said to myself, if I'm going to have to make a 1 week leap between jobs, I might as well own my own truck. I said, then I can better manage how I'm going to go about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. That was the week I called Corey, and I said, I'm ready. When can you take me?
Put me on the books.
Actually, I think I might have called him to come in early because I was right in the middle. I found a truck, which was another process that I didn't really fully think about until I had to buy one.
Yep.
I knew trucks from all my life, but when you start thinking about gear ratios in the rear end, how they're going to affect what you're pulling and what your fuel mileage is going to be, all those things add up in a hurry. So, yeah, that was the week. I said, I'm leaving. So,
You know, it's that's so hard for a lot of guys to make that step
Yeah.
to be in a comfortable company driving job that a lot of things are, you know, I can hear them. I don't have to worry about a truck. I don't have to worry about maintenance. I don't have to, you know, worry about this kind of stuff. And I don't have any benefits. And, I mean, there's a lot to that. So it really, I mean, I'm sure you and your wife had to have some serious conversations about, is this right for us or not?
Well, especially whenever, okay, you said first-time owner-operator. You said you've been driving for how many years?
I've had my Class A driver's license for 30 years.
So, I mean,
So,
29 years of things working out just fine. And then all of a sudden it's like, I think I want to try this.
benefits were a huge concern. The last company job I had great benefits. And so it was a tough decision to make that change.
So can I ask you now, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I mean, how have you adjusted to benefits being an independent contractor? What have you done?
Well, I think you're never going to know until you do it. And then once you make that change to do it, the options become more. So what do I mean by that? There's good money in being an owner-operator. But there's also a lot of benefits to being an owner-operator that you don't always think about as a company driver is your write-offs, your expenses, what you can expense. And so how much do you really make after, you look at, well, my cell phone bill now is a business expense. It's not something that I just have as a company driver. So all those things in consideration, you start looking at the other benefits, and now they're more affordable instead of trying to look at your budget from, how you looked at it as a company driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We should really do something, maybe an episode where we've got somebody that comes on and tells everybody everything that you can expense on your taxes, because I'll listen to, especially around the time that we do 2290s, and people will ask for copies of it after it's finished being paid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
just about expense anything, A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know that, especially first
There
time
are a
owner.
lot. I mean, a good tax consultant or somebody to do your business taxes is pretty important.
Very.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, very important to have somebody.
And you need to have somebody you can ask those business questions, like, when is the right time for me to buy a truck, buy another truck? I mean, how much depreciation is left? Those things you never really thought about as a company driver, but as a business owner, it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's some benefit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You got to change your way of thinking, don't you, Jeff?
completely,
And you learn a lot.
absolutely.
Did you learn any of it prior to going in?
There was a lot of it that I understood. I've got some other business. I've got a grading and excavating business as well.
Okay.
That's what my son does. And so I understand the bookkeeping and business side of it, but trucking in specific, you don't know till you know.
Yeah. So I assume you're glad you made the jump.
I am very glad I made the change. It was, I'm not going to lie, it was my timing and the actual timing of things are never one and the same. It's kind of like, you tell your wife you can get this project done in 2 hours, and she's over there. It's an all weekend project. Well,
Right.
it's kind of the same thing with owning your own truck. I thought, I'm going to go strong at it the first 6 months, and I'm going to get a good bank account set back, and I'm going to be taking it easy from there, and it's going to be fine. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more than 6 months of hard work. And I feel now after I hit my 1 year mark, the bonus was huge to be able to put that right to the bank account.
Yeah.
And I always said it. Once I get to the bonus part, then I'll feel much better. I'll have that money sitting back in the bank. I don't have to touch it. And I tried not to look at it as bonus as much as I did. You were holding back 10 cents a mile on my loaded miles for paying me. So it was paid for the mile, just don't get it to the end of the year.
Right.
And so you keep that right in your business. And if you're smart with your money, it's going to take care of itself.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, we pay our owner operators a 10 cent a loaded mile bonus,
Which is huge.
And you get it on your anniversary date or thereabouts. You have to make your anniversary date to get the 10 cents. If you don't make your anniversary date, you don't get it. And then the next year goes to 11,
That's
next
right.
year to 12. There's no cap on it. So the longer you're here, the more of the bonus you're going to have. And we did that a long time ago because it gives you something to look forward to,
It's a great retention tool.
Yes,
as well.
a retention
Yeah.
tool, and to help you save money. I mean, or not to get too in depth with your finances, but I mean, managing money is critical, isn't it, in this business?
Yep.
I mean, you got to separate the business from the house.
Absolutely. And that's, the easiest thing for me was to just establish their own accounts, checking account, credit card account, and that's the business, and leave it alone. And I don't know, put it in your right pocket and put your personal money in your left pocket.
Yeah.
And keep it that way. And it makes your tax advisor and tax guy so much happier.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to keep up with for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we see a lot of people that mismanage their money to their demise. I mean, and we've lost some great owner operators that just didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to manage their money, and spend it like they were the cartel.
Like they spend it like
mean,
they had it.
like
That's
they-
I
right.
do that every weekend. Every Monday I wake up hating myself. So
It's
That's
hard.
why I don't
It's
drive a
hard for
truck.
sure. I mean,
That's a normal life. That's what most people do.
it
Live it.
gets exciting when you get a nice settlement check at the end of the week, and
Yeah.
it's like, wow,
What happened?
whoa, this is nice. I've had a couple of those, zingers in there
Yeah.
that are just really good. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
ice cream this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. First call is to the wife going, okay, now don't do anything yet until we talk.
That's right.
we're going to Sizzler tonight.
We're going to Western Sizzling tonight. So it's all out.
You need to plan ahead because there's those times where you want to go home, and if you're not working, there's no paycheck. So,
That's been pretty consistent with everybody that we speak to
Yep.
is the money management. And it seems like if you can get that down,
Yep.
everything else kind of falls into place with being an owner operator.
LubeZone has been servicing single trucks and truck fleets for more than 20 years across 12 locations nationwide. LubeZone specializes in quick, full-service oil changes that take approximately 30 to 40 minutes. They also offer tractor-trailer grease, gearbox service, generator service, reefer service, and DOT inspections. They aim to go the extra mile when it comes to quality control. This means your tractor is checked not only once, but 2 times to ensure all service and parts meet their guaranteed quality and standards. No other service center knows semi-trucks better than LubeZone. If your truck needs serviced, check out lubezone.com to find all of their locations, and when you stop by, let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
I think we pretty much covered on advice on becoming an owner operator. That's I think you gave some good advice on that and what to do and the research. But we kind of fight as a trucking company and truck drivers. We kind of fight that stigma of being no good truck driver, no good trucking company. You know, the billboards are up. They're going to, you know, get out of my way type deal. Well, you're in that seat every day in traffic on the interstate, and you're having to deal with the general public that has, not everybody, but a lot of them, because of the advertising, already has a negative attitude towards truck drivers. How do you handle that actually on the road every day?
You've got to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And the best way to do that is to model the actions and behaviors that you want to see on the road, as opposed to react to all the nonsense on the road. And it's not always easy. It's easy to get frustrated on the road for sure, but at the end of the day, I need to make a living doing this, and I need to drive tomorrow. And so if I just keep thinking about that all the while, then it makes it a little bit easier. But
yeah, well, that's a great answer, because you I mean, to me, I would have to mentally prepare. Okay, all right, I've got to get on I-40 and go to Memphis. I'm going to have to mentally prepare to get to Memphis, you know,
Turn on
safely.
some yoga music
something.
or something like that.
Because I know it's going to be a little more volatile than maybe, you know, going to Oklahoma City.
yeah, that stretch from Little Rock to Memphis has got a bad rap.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. And it's really no different than any other highway on the road.
Okay.
Bad example.
Good to know. Good to know.
Not really, but that's the way you have to think about it. I mean, it just is what it is. It's a two-lane road, and you know you're going to have two trucks out there doing 69 miles an hour, and you're going to get aggravated. And
Yep.
I always think of there are many reasons why I don't drive a truck. Let me preface it. But anytime I think about all those videos that you see of people driving big trucks down like the streets of New York or just other places that are particularly cramped. There's no way.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I don't ever hear anybody complain about it though. You know, I don't know if I know we do some tank loads up that way, but I don't know how much inner city stuff you guys do.
I've been through the city a few times. The roads are horrible. I've never had to deliver into the New York City area. I don't think I would want to. And it's funny because when we were there last weekend, I said to my son, I said, how do they do truck driver deliveries through here? I said, there's no way you're getting a tanker or, you know, a combination vehicle down these roads. Everything has to be in a van truck because there's just no way.
Yeah. Speaking of the perception, I always have this burning question in the back of my mind. I haven't asked anybody yet, but I was curious. You know how you see in TV shows or movies how the truck drivers are just greasy, dirty, lazy,
Trucker hat.
yeah, redneck, just idiots. I mean, it's just like, oh, you're driving a truck because you can't do anything else. Does that bother you?
There are those people out there.
Well, yeah, but
but the fact that you got that image, I mean, in your mind about truck drivers, I mean, a lot of people have it, but certainly here, I mean, you know better, because you see the guys coming in and out every day, and I don't think that is a real accurate portrayal of the American trucker.
No, but if it was like, if I was watching a movie.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Yep.
And, well, more broadly speaking, if I was watching a movie and I'm like, man, every single movie I see, they always have somebody that's really stupid playing the character named Megan, and I don't know why. I think that would start to get to me a little bit. So I've just always wanted to ask and see if that was, you know, if you guys kind of noticed that. I think we get the creme de la creme here.
We do.
You know, so we don't really see any of that, so it's never equated in our minds. But it kind of rubs me the wrong way whenever I see that on TV.
That was a decision, too, about coming to Oakley. That was, it made it much easier because I never saw a bad-looking Oakley truck on the road.
That helps.
That helps for sure.
Yeah.
And you talked to Jimmy. Did you talk to Jimmy before or after you got here?
I talked to Jimmy afterwards, It's when I started doing more of my research on Oakley, and I came across Jimmy's YouTube channel.
Jimmy's Road Life.
Jimmy's Road
Road.
Life.
Yep.
Yep.
Lyfe.
Lyfe,
Yeah.
that's right.
It's the cool spelling of the
Love you,
word.
Jimmy.
Yep.
And now you're both back tanks.
And now we are. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he's a good resource for me as well. I'll call him up and say, hey, I need a hand. How do I do this? Or I'm going here. Have you seen it? So it's good. I've made a lot of friends here at Oakley. It makes the job easier.
Yeah.
I've got 5 or 6 guys that I can call any minute of the day and say, hey, I got a problem.
Yeah.
So that helps too.
What's the worst thing about working at Oakley?
The worst thing? Well, I really don't know what the worst thing is. I mean,
No pressure.
No
Jeff.
pressure.
You can be honest.
I really didn't think about this. I mean, I don't like driving at night, and certainly that's not a job requirement
Right.
to speak of. But
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean it's true. I mean there are things that we do, that I do, that she does, that we don't like.
yeah,
At this company.
Not me.
Especially Megan, because
Maybe
I hear about
Jeremy.
it all the time.
Oh, what?
Just kidding. But no, I mean, we just, there's always things. I mean, and that's good that you can't just instantly come off with one that you don't like, because, I mean, that means a lot to us, too. I mean, we are so spoiled here at Oakley by having such good owner-operators. It amazes me to this day, and you don't realize it because, we're in it every day in this
Yeah.
office, and we just take it for granted a lot of days until recruiting doesn't, because we are constantly talking to people that do not qualify to come to Oakley. It is a constant battle. But, I think we all get spoiled with guys like you that work here and help us grow this company, have a good reputation, and move it forward to where we're given that positive image of truck drivers and trucking companies to the general public.
mm-hmm.
I think just get them to watch this podcast.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Keep watching.
they're missing out.
That's right.
Maybe
what
we should
about?
start giving out the winning lotto numbers.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, never mind. Okay. What about your dispatcher? So a lot of people, these days it's load boards. You pick your own loads. You do all this. That's what a lot of companies go to. We're not going to be a dispatcher that tells you where to go and what to do. Tell us about, you've had a couple dispatchers here, I assume, because you were pulling a dump, and now you're pulling a pneumatic tank. Give the listeners, and maybe somebody listening that's thinking about coming over, to help them diffuse that fear of dispatchers being bad or controlling, or you know what I'm talking about.
I've not had any of that problem with any of my dispatchers. And sometimes it's a mindset on the front side for the driver. And for me, it's easy. If I'm not home and I'm going to be out working, I don't care where I'm going. And so I don't care. Give me a load. It can be a long one. It can be a short one. Communication with the dispatcher is important. Sometimes I talk to guys and say, oh, yeah, I call my dispatcher in the morning. I call him in the afternoon. I do that every day. And I don't know whether that's the norm or not. It's just what I do. And so I think it makes it easier because the dispatcher knows where I'm at. Doesn't have to guess. Doesn't have to guess when I'm going to show up. And if I tell them I'm going to be somewhere at 9 o'clock tomorrow, that's where I'll be. Yeah. And if I'm not, I'm going to call.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty simple. Sometimes expectations for guys making a change from that load board mentality, it can be a challenge for them. Mm-hmm. Not knowing where you're going next is always a challenge. And I think that has a lot to do also with just the workload in general that we have today. Because, you talk to guys, they say 3 years ago, dispatch was laying out loads for them for 3 or 4 days in advance because there was just so much work. They were having a hard time keeping up. And so it's not quite that way now. So you have to you have to put yourself in the dispatcher shoes sometimes to understand what they're going through, knowing that they've got 50 guys. Everybody's looking for that next load.
Yeah.
You can't give what you don't have.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think just if you can mentally prepare for that, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. A lot of people, I get a lot of owner-operators that will tell me, hey, man, I'm so less stressed. You know, I don't have to worry about rates, what the loads pay, how far I got a deadhead. Man, y'all have taken that load off of me to where now I can concentrate on just driving and customer service, and it's, you know, so a lot less stressful. We get that quite a bit.
I was talking to somebody yesterday. It's like, I don't have to worry how many empty miles I'm going to run, because that's not my job. My job is just to drive to where the dispatch has got me going to get the next one. And I know, you know, from if I were to have to drive 300 miles to go get my next load, and I had to pay for every bit of that mileage to get there to get the next load, that next load's going to have to be real good.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have to worry about it.
We do.
That's right.
That's our job.
Yep.
What's the future look like for Jeff Nussbaum?
Oakley's #1 driver.
Or Oakley's self-proclaimed #1 driver?
Yeah.
I do have a disclaimer to that. I gave you the disclaimer now. I don't want to discredit all the rest of the good guys. We have a ton of good guys out there.
We do.
I'm one of.
You're one of.
So I'm one of. What's next for me is, well, I think next year I'll probably bring another truck. I'll be at the end of the warranty on the one I've got now, and I like that sense of security feeling of having a backup plan.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to find a way to have it again.
What do you
when my
think you'll
warranty
get?
expires.
Think you get another international?
I definitely want something that's going to be fuel efficient.
Yes.
You know,
That-
brand spanking new one? When you say new, or you mean new to you?
We'll see what the accountant says next year, and we'll see what the bank account says, and we'll see what the ambition says.
Yeah. What the prices are.
That's right.
Yeah.
A lot can change
Yeah. Good.
because new trucks are not cheap.
No. Used trucks are, but new trucks are not.
They are, but it's a
Yeah.
wild card.
Anything else you'd like to add, Megan? Anything for Jeff?
I think Jeff just speaks for himself.
Doesn't he?
I really was surprised when he said you've only been here for a year. Knew you had
Seems
been here
like
for
a-
at least 3 or 4. Yeah. Always got a good attitude when I talk to Jeff. It's always nice to see him when he comes into the office. I know I say that about everybody. But for real this time. It's not just, I'm not buttering
For
you
real
up
this time.
anything.
For
Yeah,
real
for
this
real.
time.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure having you. I think whenever people really enjoy what they do, you can tell. Like
Yeah.
it's easy to tell if they're not brown nosing or, you know, just fibbing. You know, you could see it. It's genuine.
Yep.
Just here to make the money.
Attitude.
Jeff, we
Thanks for
appreciate
being
you.
here.
Man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming up and doing this with us. It's always good. You're so genuine, and it really goes a long way, and we appreciate it. We wish we get more owner operators like you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate everybody listening to the Oakley podcast this week, man. You guys have been an awesome audience. We appreciate you, all the feedback you give us. Be sure and check out all our socials, social media. Annabelle does a great job with our videos and stuff. Be sure and check all those out. If you've got questions, even particular questions to any episode, like if you heard what Jeff was talking about, whether it was, you know, becoming an owner-operator, finances, shoot me a message and I'll send it to Jeff, and he'll get in touch with you. Be glad to share that information because, you know, the ultimate goal here is to help owner operators be successful in this business, and that's what we want to do. We want to create more owner operators that are successful because it makes us successful. So appreciate you joining me this time, Megan.
No problem.
Good stuff. Hey, everybody, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.